Welcome back to our second annual Cocktails and Crypts, a spooktacular celebration. Our episodes this month are, of course, spoopy. Prepare for a hauntingly good time as we mix up eerie elixirs and spin chilling yarns. So grab your potion ingredients and cocktail glasses because things are about to get spooktacular. Yes, my spooky besties, Halloween is upon us. Welcome to Capers and Cocktails, a true crime podcast that doesn't take itself too seriously and gives you something to enjoy while you listen. The following content may be disturbing to some. Discretion is advised. If you're enjoying one of our themed cocktails, ensure you're of legal drinking age and have fun, but drink responsibly. Centuries ago, as night fell on All Hallows' Eve, communities found comfort in the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. By disguising themselves in costumes resembling otherworldly beings, they hoped to avoid the roaming ghosts. Eventually, the customs of Christian and pagan traditions blended, transforming the night before All Saints' Day into All Hallows' Eve, or Halloween. Over time, a practice known as souling developed, where children and the less fortunate would visit the homes of the deceased, offering prayers in exchange for soul cakes. By the late 19th century in America, Halloween had transformed into a community-centered affair. Influenced by European traditions, children dressed in costumes and wandered their neighborhoods, playfully teasing tricks for treats, a practice that evolved into trick-or-treating. Today, the Halloween tradition lives on, blending old customs with new, as both young and old delight in dressing up, venturing out into the night, knocking on doors with eager anticipation, and enjoying the sweet treats of the season. We're continuing this month with a short little ditty about some tainted Halloween candy. Yes, we are all aware, or you should be, if you are one of my cocktail co-conspirators, about a few other tales like this one. We had, of course, dastardly dentist Dr. Willie V. Shine, who with his own co-conspirator handed out laxatives to the neighborhood children, and basically got away with it too, despite the meddling kids. For you OG cocktail co-conspirators, you may also remember the absolutely awful father, Ronald Clark O'Brien, who tried to poison several neighborhood kids in order to cover the real crime, killing his own kids with poisoned pixie sticks for the insurance money. He did manage to murder his own son, unfortunately, but no one else was killed, thank goodness. These gentlemen sent our own parents into a Halloween panic decades later, making sure we didn't take any candy that wasn't plastic wrapped to hell, and Lord knows if someone offered us an apple. Today's story isn't that serious, but it does involve a bit of a case of mistaken candy identity. West Boylston is a tiny little town located in Worcester County, Massachusetts. We're talking about a town that is big enough for a Walmart, but too small for a Target. If you know, you know. Positioned as a northern suburb of Worcester, it's home to a population of just under 8,000 people, or at least it was in 2023. Although the town was split off from Boylston, West Boylston has a larger population than its eastern namesake. It's also worth saying that it's a fairly wealthy suburb with not too many families. Only about 30% of the households in the town are made up of families. But those households were undoubtedly bustling with activity on the night of October 31st, 2023. And as dusk descended upon the neighborhood, eager trick-or-treaters donned their costumes and set out with bags in hand, ready to collect a prize of sweet candy. They wanted to get candy. The trick-or-treating hours were from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m., and the kids headed out, ghouls and goblins and probably a fair amount of blues and banjos, I'm guessing. After a long night of trick-or-treating, two kids, both around 10 years old, went back home to their two different households and began to, as all trick-or-treaters do, inspect and, if you were me, sort meticulously all Halloween candy. Perhaps do a little tradesy with siblings, and if possible, avoid the mom and dad tax. But those two trick-or-treaters were in for a big surprise when they pulled some individually wrapped chocolates out of their Halloween bags. The chocolates were labeled with the brand Jose Cuervo. If you didn't know, Jose Cuervo is not necessarily known for its chocolate. Jose Cuervo is one of the oldest and most renowned tequila producers in the world, with a history dating back to 1758, when Jose Antonio de Cuervo y Valdez was granted a land grant by the King of Spain to cultivate agave. Today, Jose Cuervo remains a leading producer of tequila, Known for its rich heritage and exceptional quality. It's tequila. Within the last decade or so, Jose Cuervo began producing chocolates, adding a unique twist to their product offerings. And I had to try them. I am now addicted. It's safe to say. They are delicious. But they are not for children. You see, what you get when you mix Jose Cuervo and chocolate is tequila-infused chocolates. Each chocolate has about 1.9% alcohol. Whoops. And speaking of alcohol and chocolate, let's make a drink, shall we? We are going to make ourselves a homemade tequila hot chocolate. But don't let that stop you, all right? Tequila and a packet of hot chocolate mix will definitely do in a pinch. In case you're feeling fancy, though, let's make a Mexican hot chocolate. Hot chocolate has its origins in Mexico. As early as 500 BCE, the Mayans enjoyed a chocolate drink made from cocoa seeds, water, cornmeal, and chili peppers. Delicious? Probably not. But not the hot chocolate we know and love today. When the drink reached Europe in the 1500s, it was initially bitter and served cold. Gross. But it later became popular in Spain when served hot, sweetened, and without chili peppers. Delicious. Then it came back to Mexico at some point, and then we're going to add tequila, of course. To make the cocktail, take 1 cup of your milk of choice, 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder, 1 tablespoon of sugar, a pinch of salt, a pinch of cinnamon, and a pinch of cayenne pepper, and add them all to a saucepan. Whisk to combine and heat until the drink comes to a gentle boil. Make sure you're stirring that whole time. Remove from the heat and let it cool for a minute before adding a shot or 2 of tequila and stir again. Top with a cinnamon stick and some whipped cream and sip up. For the mocktail, simply replace the tequila with a non-alcoholic version. My favorite is linked in the description box as usual. Sip up and pretend you're one of those 2 kids on Halloween chomping down on tequila-infused chocolate candy. The parents of these 2 children were less than enthused that those treats had ended up in their kids' Halloween buckets. So one called the West Boylston police and another one emailed, sending a picture of the offending candy. It turns out that both families had trick-or-treated along Horseshoe Drive in the northern part of town, and which I counted has less than 40 houses. Seems like they might have been able to track down the offending house. But maybe authorities weren't too concerned. Frankly, they did not believe that this was some foul deed committed on purpose to get the children of West Boylston drunk. It probably would have taken a lot of those chocolates to do that anyway. West Boylston Police Chief Dennis Minich would say, quote, "Sometimes people are just plain stupid, and they go, 'Oh my God, I forgot it's Halloween,' and they grab something that they have in the house and start handing stuff out," end quote. Essentially, they thought it was an accident. Some speculation was that someone grabbed a handful of treats by mistake from a party table, and others thought it might have been a deliberate prank. Authorities did say they wanted to see if they could track down the culprit. Police Chief Dennis would say, quote, "We certainly would love to know who was doing that and what led up to that. It doesn't seem to me like it was done on purpose. There would be more, and we'd probably be able to narrow it down to a specific household if that was the case," end quote. The police urged parents to check in on their kids' candy bags to make sure the Boozy chocolates weren't accidentally tossed into more than 2 bags. No other reports were made, and I couldn't find that they ever found the culprits of the crime or honest mistake. It seems to me like the police moved on to bigger and better crimes to solve, and who can blame them? On the same Halloween night in 2023, in a town called Sandwich, Massachusetts. Okay, we have to pause here. Did you know there was a town called Sandwich? Sandwich? Gotta visit Sandwich. Anyway, moving on. Sandwich, which is about 90 miles southeast of West Boylston, was the site of an arguably more dangerous Halloween candy incident in which one 8-year-old child reported finding sewing needles sticking out of 2 candies, one in a fun-sized Snickers and another in a Twix. He evidently got these legitimately scary candies while trick-or-treating on Main Street, and the boy's mom told police that the needle was poking out of the candy and the wrapper had a puncture hole in it. Yikes! The Sandwich Police Department said that this was the only report of needle-infused Halloween candy they received and urged citizens to only eat turkey and Swiss sandwiches. Not the last part. The needle sticker was also never identified. Thanks for hanging out with me. Maybe our moms were right about checking our Halloween candy. I grew up in the 90s also, which we were definitely left to our own devices then. Gotta keep looking for razor blades in the apples, I guess. Treat yourself to some funny crime memes by following me on Instagram. I post them several times a week, just enough to be funny and not annoying, I promise. A little treat. Next week is a skipped upload, but I'll see you soon for our next installment of Cocktails and Crips, a Spooktober celebration. Ooh! And remember, there are always alternatives to giving kids boozy Halloween candy. That stuff's expensive. Keep it for yourself.